Good with the Property Mob, the makers of Badass Investors. And what you're looking at here is the Property Mob MAO cheat sheet. MAO is the acronym for Maximum Allowable Offer. It's the absolute most amount of money that you can offer a seller on a property. So if you downloaded this PDF version and need a little explanation on how to use it, this is the video to watch. As you can see across the top here, I have the ultra safe formula that we're using in this cheat sheet, which is ARV, which stands for after repaired value, times 60% minus repairs. That's the formula that's used on all of the calculations that you're looking at. If you sell to a cash investor your properties for 65 to 70% of ARV minus repairs, that's about what investors are willing to pay you for your properties. If they're in, bread and butter locations, then you have a 5 to 10% spread that you're working with for a profit on an assignment fee. So let me demonstrate what you're looking at on the spreadsheet. Across the top, in the red boxes, I sounded like a boxing announcement. Anyway, from left to right is your ARV. We have ARVs starting at 45,000. Sorry about the highlights there. Going all the way up to 220,000. The prices I have, the ARVs on this worksheet, are the most common that I work with, and you may find it's the most common ARVs that you're going to be working with too for assignment fees. It's just the people that get into the most trouble. Of course, there's the more dollars you waller in, the more that stick to you. But for wholesaling, I have found that these are the most common price ranges. If you're in California or somewhere out where prices of homes are a little more expensive, then this worksheet probably isn't going to work the best for you. But the formulas that are plugged in is right up here. If you know how to use Excel, you can, maybe populate a spreadsheet for yourself. On the left, in the gray shaded boxes, are our repair estimates. And they start at 5,000 and go up to 40,000. Now, of course, they're going to be higher than that sometimes, but not most, most of the time they're going to come somewhere in this range between $5,000 and $40,000 in repairs. So before you're able to use this sheet, you do need to already know ARV and your repair cost to be able to come up with a maximum allowable offer for your seller. So let's take an example. Let's say you're working with a seller and the ARV on the property is $120,000, which you see right here. Whoops, $120,000. Let's plug $120,000 in here. Times 60%, okay, gives us $72,000. And let's say the property needs $25,000 in rehab. So we're going to deduct $25,000. Our maximum offer is $47,000. What this sheet does is allow you to quickly find the maximum allowable offer without a calculator. So you have $120,000 and the repairs are $25,000, and just like a multiplication table, you use it in the same way. Bam. There is your maximum allowable offer to the seller, $47,000. So you may start negotiating with the seller and start somewhere around $37,000 or $40,000 in order to end up at your maximum of $47,000. That's the most that you can pay the seller and still be in the safe zone and know that you didn't pay too much for the property. Now, what are you going to sell the house for? That's not on this worksheet, but the formula is basically the same. You just use a different calculation. You're going to sell to your investor. Remember, up here, you're going to sell to your investor for 65 to 70% of ARV minus repairs. So, $125,000 times, let's use 70%. And it needed $25,000 in repairs. You're going to sell it to your investor somewhere around $62,500. So you can see you have $47,000 you're going to offer the seller. Did I do the right? formula. Let's see, I think I used 125 instead of 120. 120 times 70, I think I did, minus 25,000. Yeah, okay. So I did. I knew that sounded like a big spread. So you're going to sell it to your investor for around $59,000, and you are offering your seller $47,000. So with those numbers, you can see you have $12,000, which is 10% of the ARV profit margin to work with. Of course, you can, with your own judgment, take less from your investor, which you probably will end up doing, or you can pay your seller a little more if you're certain you have a buyer that will pay you 70% of ARV minus repairs. Let's look at the same house with the investor paying 65%. That changes things a little bit, and some of them use 65% as their number over 70%. It just depends on the investor and the location and condition of the house. So if they pay ARV times 65% minus repairs, now you're looking at a $53,000 purchase price from your investor, and that leaves you only a $6,000 profit margin to work with. So you can see, if you know your buyers and you know what, once you get familiar with them and they start buying more than one house from you, you may feel safe offering the full $47,000 maximum to your seller, because you know you're able to sell it for 70% of ARV minus repairs. So let's look at one more. Let's do a $70,000 house. Sorry, it keeps doing that. Let's say the ARV is $70,000, and it's going to do 60% of that. And let's say the house is a terrible, terrible junker, and it needs $35,000 in work. You can only pay the seller $7,000 for the house? Wow, that's pretty darn low. Now you can see on here I have 0 on this MAO worksheet, and I'll tell you why. When a house that's only worth $70,000 needs more than 50% of its value in rehab, an investor is probably not going to be real interested in purchasing that property from you for 65% of ARV minus repairs. Their estimate's always going to be more. I mean, if it needs that much work and it's only worth $70,000, then you've got a total junker. That is what we call land value minus demolition, where you really only want to pay the seller what the land is worth, minus the cost to get rid of the house if it's that bad. So you can see on some of these very, very low ARVs, which is 45 through 80,000, if the house needs a whole lot of work, then sometimes it's better just to pass on. Hell, sometimes I'll offer them $500 for the house. So that's really use your discretion. If I'm training someone to make offers and I don't want them to get caught with a total junker that they can't sell and they get discouraged, then they use my MAO worksheet, and they will see that sometimes the property is so bad you just need to pass on it. Doesn't happen very often, but especially in the low ARVs, if the value of the property is kind of low. So that is a demonstration of the Property Mob MAO worksheet. You can print this PDF version out and keep it with you. Keep it in your car, in your briefcase. You can also just download it and keep it on your iPhone or your iPad as a PDF version. And there's also the iPad version, where you actually can walk through the house with your iPad or your iPhone, doing the inspection live and calculating the numbers right there on your iPad. So if you don't have the iPad version, you do have to have Numbers installed as an app on your iPhone or iPad, and you can use that. It's an awesome little thing that I developed for us and our people out in the field doing inspections, for us to come up with repairs and maximum allowable offers. It actually, the iPad version gives you the maximum allowable offer, and it shows you what you can sell the house for. So you actually can see both numbers right there live while you're talking to the seller. So it's worth downloading if you don't have it. Only works on iPhone or iPad. It doesn't work on Android, and you do need the Numbers app to use it. So good luck out there making offers. You know, the worst thing you can do is offer a seller too much and get caught with a house that you can't sell. That's, you know, that will discourage you away from what, you know, it's just discouraging to not be able to get a house under contract and you pay too much. So follow these guidelines, use MAO, and you should be getting a fat check real soon. Check you guys later. You can go to propertymob.com for lots more information on wholesaling and more resources for you to use in your business. Check you later.